Hi there. Are you fed up with high service fees and bank charges from your local bank? And most of them unjustifiable. I'm here to tell you that you are not alone in this. Major banks in South Africa are facing a lot of scrutiny over the issue of high service fees as well as charging exorbitant bank charges. Please stay tuned to the end of this video to find out exactly what's happening and how it affects you, as well as the kind of changes that might be coming or that are on the horizon in the future. Hello and welcome back. I'm Kenneth and this is Friday Money Matters. This Friday and every other Friday on this channel. Thank you for tuning in. Please do consider subscription to the channel and hit the notification button so that you get appraised every time we bring a fresh and exciting content your way. In the past few weeks, in some of my videos, I've received some comments from you, my subscribers and viewers, regarding exorbitant fees and charges that you guys have been experiencing at your local banks. Some of you have even taken steps due to some of the recommendations that we have given you and are trying to pursue and get to the bottom of the issue, exactly what's happening with the high bank charges that you are experiencing at your local banks. Now, after conducting a little bit of research, I found out that these situations or these incidents were not isolated. There are quite a number of them across the country, and having done some research, I also found out that there were some articles that were written concerning this issue, which means that there's something that is amiss as far as the banking sector is concerned, and steps are being taken to bring them to book and find out exactly what's happening, why it is happening, and probably bring that much needed relief that you're looking for, especially where your finances are concerned. Please watch the video to the end and also comment. We really appreciate all your input. Now let's begin with the major issue. The main issue here is that major banks in South Africa are charging exorbitant prices or exorbitant fees and as well as a service cost to all their customers. Now, basically, which means that your banking costs on average are higher than what they're supposed to be. Now, for most people, this looks as if it is an exclusion, a tactic by the banks, especially if you're looking from previously disadvantaged individuals and groups as well as small businesses. Basically, the issue is that a lot of financial services are beyond the reach of the normal person out there. So, which means in extension, you're being excluded to participate in this. Now, exclusion from participating means that instead of banks facilitating the closure of the bridge between the rich and the poor, they are making it a little bit even more wider, because if you cannot have access to certain financial services, it means therefore that your ability to raise income, your ability to maybe invest in certain areas is drastically affected. Now, if it is negatively affected, therefore it means that you are unable to participate in those arenas where you could have probably made an income from savings and from things such as that. So the main issue is that a lot of people are being excluded from participation of this. Now, that being the case, it means therefore that the macroeconomic situations in South Africa, especially the problem of income inequality, instead of becoming better, it becomes worse as South Africa grows into its independence, because banks having that ability to facilitate this much needed inclusion are actually resisting that kind of change that is required to bring about a broader and more wider economic participation of the masses into the mainstream economy. So that becomes a very serious problem there. The second problem is small businesses are finding it very difficult to get funding from banks. The economy of South Africa, basically, if you've been listening to a lot of podcasts, news, and even to the government itself, they're saying that SMMEs are the backbone of economic growth and development in South Africa. Now, which means that they need to have access to much needed resources that will fuel their growth and make sure that they scale up to the point where they begin to absorb even the kind of unemployment that has been there. Remember, in one of the videos, we were talking about 64% youth unemployment, a number that is one of the largest in the world. So now, if small, micro, and even medium-sized businesses are unable to have access to funding to scale, it means that these other macroeconomic problems, such as unemployment and so forth, will remain unresolved. Therefore, banks becoming that part in the economy that which exacerbates the situation instead of making it better. So the ability of SMEs to get funding is very critical to ensure that they have the kind of resources and they remain afloat to make sure that their operational issues are not affected. In doing so, they grow and then they provide the economy with the much needed GDP and so forth. And also the taxation that the government needs to raise from the income that these businesses will raise. So this has been a very critical issue. Now, for small, medium, and micro-sized enterprises, they have to resort to other means to raise income. Now, for those that do not have any other access, they find themselves failing to remain afloat. Therefore, that is why we said in one of the videos that we've got approximately 70% of businesses closing from date of inception to about 5 years. It means that this inability to have access to funding is one of the critical things that is causing this closure in small businesses. Now the question then is, okay, we have seen all these problems with banks. Now, what can be done? What is on the horizon? What is being done to make sure that this situation is rectified? Now, first and foremost is the inclusion of Parliament. In the article, you'll find that the parliamentary committees, especially the one that deals with trade, industry, and competition, is planning to call the major banks, to send them summons so that they can come and answer on this particular issue, find out exactly from them why this is the case and what can be done to ensure that the service fees as well as the bank charges come down. Now, this is very critical, and time will only tell how swift this will happen and whether it will bring about that anticipated change that everybody is looking for. Now, the second thing that is on the horizon is a government intervention. The South African government is looking at establishing a state bank. Yes, you heard it right, a state bank. Now, this will involve the transformation of the post office into a transactional bank, a bank that will offer a transactional accounts as well as a credit facilities and all the other much needed banking services that underserved communities are currently in need of. And as such, we know already that the post office is already in the process of applying for a banking license that is inclusive of a wider and a broader scale of banking facilities and services that it can offer to communities that really need this kind of intervention. Now, the question is whether this will be successful or not. Now, the license probably will go through. However, the implementation could be a problem we have seen in the past when the government is involved, that there is no accountability. The first that there is no accountability, it means that as far as operational capacity, operational efficiency, and effectiveness, they are impacted negatively, and this can be a deterrent to the success of that particular bank if ever it becomes a thing. But we'll keep our fingers crossed, and we'll let you know of any developments in this avenue. But such a bank will come as a much needed good incentive in those particular communities, and also it will bring about an increase in competition, and this might be very critical to bring about lower service fees in the future. So now let's look at what does it mean for you if these changes were to happen. What does it mean for you as an individual, an individual consuming banking services or financial services? What would it mean for you? Obviously, the inclusion of a state-run bank will mean that there will be an increase in competition. Now, an increase in competition obviously will always lead to lower cost or lower fees for the customers. What we can be on the lookout is that if this becomes a reality, then the future might be a future based on lower service fees as well as lower banking charges moving into 5-10 years from now. Secondly, this might also mean that better and much needed support for SMMEs might be there, especially looking at the parliamentary committee. If they're successful in bringing these banks to book, it means that the banks might open up their services, especially to smaller businesses, and this is very critical, especially considering that the majority of businesses in South Africa are in that range of small, medium, as well as micro-sized businesses. Now, this will give them this kind of impetus to make sure that they become more competitive, especially compared to other bigger corporations that have already made it in this particular market. Again, these changes could also mean that there will be a greater and much needed participation of communities and previously disadvantaged groups in the financial services sector. Now, this is critical, especially if the bridge between the rich and the poor is going to be closed. Now, for years, this has been something that has been on the table, economic emancipation for the masses. Now, this can only happen if people are allowed to participate and included in consumption of these services. That gives them that kind of key to open up doors for them into wealth creation and so forth. So this is very critical if that bridge is to be closed, and to ensure that the standards of living as well as economic development of the nation then improves holistically. Now, on average, we know that some of these changes might take time. However, there are other things that you can be doing as an individual to ensure that you are not that much impacted by this. Make sure that you understand exactly the services, the type of account that you're using, the services that are attached to all the transactions that you have, and what you can do to make sure that you limit such charges. One of the things that comes to mind is to use your cards for purchases instead of cash. Now, withdrawing obviously has got more and more charges attached to it instead of just swiping. Now, try and talk to your financial advisor, talk to your bank, and find out exactly what you can do as an individual to bring down those bank charges on a month-to-month basis, so that you've got more disposable income to use on your expenditure on other things as well as your savings. I'm interested to hear from you exactly how the bank fees and the charges have impacted you as an individual or as a business, do leave a comment down below. If you're a business also that has been looking for funding, leave a comment down below. Find out exactly what kind of assistance is out there for you. And also, if you're looking for a business plan that you can use to get funding, leave a comment down below and we'll reach out to you and to give you the right kind of help and point you in the right direction where you will get the much needed attention that your business or your personal finances need. Otherwise, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I hope you really like this video. Give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, every Friday Money Matters right here. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.